Are you serious? Are you serious? Well, guys, I am very serious today, and we've got a great broadcast lined up for you because it is time to really get serious about where the economy is going in this V-shaped recovery under President Trump, or is it going in a whole different direction if President Joe Biden is in the White House? As a matter of fact, Bloomberg just put out an article a couple hours ago. It said, if Donald Trump has illustrated anything as president, it's that the post-war global economic order is more fragile than anyone thought. Matter of fact, President-elect Joe Biden is the genial grandfather leading a new team brought in to mend what they can. But the question is, whose economy is Joe going to want to mend? From what we understand, he's more interested in a global resurgent in the economy. But anyone thinking that Biden is simply planning to rebuild the U.S.-led order the way it was might be in for a surprise. I think that we need some answers on this. And what does this mean? Even though we don't know officially who the president will be on January 20th of 2021. And what about the entire economic condition of the world, the currencies? What about our debt of $27 trillion in America? And should they raise taxes like Biden wants to do? Let's get some answers. And what should you do? I'm going to say you better get some precious metals for sure. But let's find out what the expert says from noblegoldinvestment.com, Colin Plume. Colin, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Pastor Paul. Yeah, a lot to discuss. I think you kind of started off in a good place in talking about the president-elect's potential strategy for the economy and President Trump's. And I think they are very different in that President Trump is more of a lot of the older presidents from 50, 60, 70 years ago, where they were more isolationist. They were more focused on what's happening here in the U.S. And Biden's global economy is very similar to what Obama wanted, which was much more inclusive just in terms of global trade. But we know that one of the things that President Trump went after was a lot of the tariffs with China and really focused on bringing jobs back here to this country. Because when you open up the world for trade, when you're doing that, you're opening up to potentially get goods at a lower price, but also what you're doing is you're taking away jobs. And I think that the big goal that I thought we were going towards is try to bring a lot of manufacturing jobs here back to the U.S. And I think that's makes sense, especially during the COVID time. You do want to bring jobs and manufacturing back here so we're more independent of the world, because we know the first few months, everybody that tried to get a lot of the goods that we normally need, just paper goods, everything, it was impossible to get because we had to get everything from China. So I think focusing on ourselves, building that infrastructure, it will be really important for the future. So I think there's going to be some pros and cons depending on what ends up with the election and what industries are strongly affected and helped by who's in office. And it's definitely going to have a strong effect on the economy.
You bring up a great point here, Colin, and that is if any nation that has an industrial base for factories and ability to create your own planes, to build ships, to have a great infrastructure, a rail, and highway systems like we have, but also the factories, to be able to manufacture your own stuff. If you think back to the days of World War II, the reason Germany could just roll right through Europe is they had the manufacturing base and everybody was living off of it. And you put yourself at a serious disadvantage. Now that's militarily, but it's the same thing economically. If you have to depend on the other guy, the price can go outrageous on you real quick. That affects the economy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Germany still has that ability to produce products at a massive rate, and China does too, and that's why their economies are so strong. So you that overall mindset of the two people that we're talking about, Biden and Trump. It's much different idea. Then the next thing is how are our taxes going to change under if President-elect Biden does become president? And I think that you could open up as much manufacturing as you want here in the U.S., but if the tax is too high, if the companies that want to open these businesses do not get incentives, then that could stall that plan altogether. So, it's important that whatever tax structure comes out, next year, if we make any changes, that we don't hinder the ability of people to hire and grow and to open businesses. Because what we know now more than ever is that more people need to become more independent from the larger corporations to be able to be in a better place. That's how we avoid this tremendous unemployment, is more people starting to work for themselves and create their own living, their own future. So the tax structure is imperative. And it's hard to not think that taxes won't go up, because how do we cover the massive debt that we've sort of put ourselves in? So we're in a very strange situation where potentially taxes could go up, but we've also been giving out stimulus. So it's like, you can't tax somebody that has been getting stimulus, because obviously they're getting money from the government because they need it to survive. So we've been wiped out of tremendous tax that most people would be paying, which has also created that massive debt. And as of last month, our national debt is at $27 trillion. So how do we get that under control? How do we keep that so it doesn't continue to just rise? Our national debt has increased by 36% over the last 40 years. So we have a big hole to dig out of. And I don't think, stalling employers from hiring, raising taxes is going to help us in it.
Folks, this is Colin Plume with us right now from noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestments.com. You can also call Colin or one of his associates at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Get some really good advice and really start thinking about your retirement, your money, your savings, your 401k. Because as Colin, as you just said, $27 trillion. And we can't just keep printing money. It's not monopoly money. I mean, we can't become Zimbabwe. So what do we do here unless you're going to have something to back it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So there've definitely been some talks about us going back onto the gold standard. There has been some recent hires in the Fed that have expressed that they think it would be a good thing for us to do that. Do I think that we will go to some kind of digital currency in the future that is backed by some type of gold or something? I think it's pretty likely at this point, because what is the end all be all for our debt? Eventually, they're going to have to find a way to get away from this debt, and moving to a new currency is probably the only way to get away from some of this debt. So eventually, gold will come into play here as an anchor to this new currency, because unless you have it tied to something, it's hard for people to think that the new currency will be more effective than the dollar. So I do think that gold will come into effect here. And I always look at 2021 on my YouTube channel. I have a video talking about my forecast, and I think one of the things that I think that people should look out for is, under if Biden does become president, one of the things they're going to push is to go back under the Paris Accord, the climate agreement. And that agreement, everything that's in there is basically the silver lining for silver holders, so to speak. So everything green energy has to be have some solar in it. So if that is one of the agendas for next year, for the new president, then I think that you're going to start to see a big push into silver and green energy, and that right now could be a great opportunity to acquire some silver. Silver did move up this year. It's still sitting around $24, but it's still half the price of where it was in 2011 at $50. So I think silver's got a lot of room to run. So the key is that you're recalibrating right now. That's what people need to do, is go, okay, if this is where we're going, this is where the world is going, how can I protect myself? How can I make sure I'm in a better position? So, because I can't control that the government's going to do debt. I can't control if the taxes I can't control these. What are the things that I can control? And, that's why people like gold and silver. And I think in the world of debt, the thing that I always love about when people buy physical metals is that they're not leveraged. A lot of people will call us and they'll ask me if we sell mining stocks, or if we do leveraged accounts, or we loan money against the gold that they have, which a lot of people do. And I'm not saying that those can't work for some people, but I think for what we do and for what I like the idea that people like this, they own this asset without debt. And so it's good to have assets in your portfolio that are debt free. Obviously, everyone's got a mortgage. That's I would say that's probably good debt. But other stuff out there that people have debt on could be a little bit scary if things get rough. But this asset, this physical asset that you have, has no debt on it, and I think that's a good thing.
Colin, you also bring up a really good point. When you talk about gold and silver prices, I remember when this year, 2020, crazy year as it is, when we just first got started, I think gold was around $1,350 an ounce. Silver was a little over $15 an ounce. You told us when the pandemic hit, you said, I'm telling you, gold and silver is going to go up. Well, silver is at $24 an ounce. Gold is at right close to $1,900 an ounce. At one point went over $2,000. And as you just said, the ceiling for silver is still quite a ways up there. It can still get back to the once it's high of close to $50 an ounce. And if there becomes this energy, solar energy or green energy, climate control, this may be the place to be, is in the silver more maybe even than the gold. I don't know. But the gold's a good safety net right now, no doubt about that, and should go up as well, don't you think?
Yeah, and another application that a lot of people aren't aware of is obviously a lot of people working from home. The big key from working from home is like, where do you store all this data, and how do you store all this data with everybody working in different places? It's easier for a company to have a server at a business, but when you have all of your employees scattered, data storage becomes a very big topic. And so what's been happening is that you're seeing a lot of African countries start to build these data centers and these massive warehouses where they're storing all of this data, the data we need to work. And a lot of that equipment, they need the silver in it. So you have all of these industries that are sprouting up that really need silver. And silver mining this year was very low because of COVID. A lot of the silver mining, I think the majority of silver mining happens in Mexico, and they were obviously hit very hard by COVID when it first started. And so a lot of the mines were closed down, so they were not mining the way they used to. So as we shift, that's what I'm saying, 2021, looking forward, we're putting on our hats of thinking about the future. What industries are going to do well with us kind of, moving forward, and what industries are not going to do well. And, one of the funny things about, the stock market and just how volatile it is, but, the day that they announced that the potential vaccine, there was a number of stocks that dropped considerably, like Netflix and Clorox, and it's sort of counter. I mean, I understand the idea somewhat behind it, but just because there's no COVID, are people going to stop cleaning?
No.
Just because are they going to stop watching Netflix? No. It was just there's so much of this kind of knee-jerk reaction The stocks that were up, a lot of the hospitality ones that have been down through this, second and third quarter this year, a lot of the hospitality really rose dramatically, which I guess it makes sense. Is that, if there's a vaccine, people can start traveling again. But it shows that so much of it is speculation, and some of these day-to-day bumps in the stock market really don't align with where the future is going. They're just what's happening, the way people feel in the moment. People saw the vaccine and they said, "Oh God, I better dump my Netflix stock." I mean, it doesn't really calculate in a sense, especially because obviously the vaccine is not going to be readily available to anybody, or people like you and I are probably told, first quarter of next year. So it's just interesting the day-to-day fluctuations and the emotion of the stock market, which is something that I think something about what we do is avoided. It's not so predicated on these day-to-day kind of volatility ups and downs.
Folks, it's Colin Plume with us from noblegoldinvestments.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, seriously, guys, as he's been talking about, the stock market they're the rumor mill, okay? That's where the rumors are. But precious metals is where the mature, responsible, it's kind of like, hang in there and get a solid base foundation built. Colin wants to help you. I think a lot of you out there have a 401k that probably should look at rolling over into a gold IRA. I mean, you really should. Or if you've got some savings, you might want to consider, because of hyperinflation, which is possible, you may need some gold. If you do set up a gold IRA, Colin will give you this beautiful American Eagle coin. It's 1/10 of an ounce, pure gold. It is a gorgeous coin. I'm going to show you here. It was minted, it's U.S. mint, actually in 1988 even, so it's a collector's item. This beautiful American Eagle, 1/10 of an ounce of gold, and he'll give it to you as a gift. That's a great gift if you set up a gold IRA. So number one, you protect your assets, and we'll make money off of this, because I guarantee you gold will continue to rise. It's even being projected to go as much as $3,000 an ounce in the next 10 years. And besides protecting your retirement, you'll probably even make some money on it. So let's keep that in mind. Colin, Joe Biden says he wants to raise taxes. Joe Biden's interested in a global world order of economics, and feels like there needs to be a better world economy for America to be a part of. He is definitely going to put us back in the Paris climate Accords, which is really nothing more than heavy regulation on American businesses, which will cause some of these businesses to want to go back to China and India and places where they don't have to worry about pollution as much. And what about the interest rates? Colin, what do you do? I mean, the Fed can't cut it any lower. It's at almost zero. So this is a real pickle we're in, isn't it?
Permanently at zero, in my opinion. I don't think interest rates are going to go up anytime soon. And I think, we've created this cycle where investors are okay to put money in a savings account, make a 0.25%, and this kind of kick the can down the street economy that we're in, where we never own up to the debts, because we don't at this point. Eventually, we will be in a bad position financially. Eventually, the world will not buy our bonds, and then that's when things will stop. And we've seen it all before. We've seen situations where people, companies run out of opportunities, they can't borrow anymore, and then they fold up. And I think that's sort of the position we're in. And I think that, when you look at money today, it's laughable, the incredible inflation that we've seen. And the idea of what $1 is worth, what $5, what 20. I mean, you go back even, 15, 20 years, $20 used to be a lot of money. Today, I mean, you could barely go to a fast food restaurant. I don't even think you can get enough food for two people for 20, maybe the dollar menu, but the amount of money that it costs to buy things. And that's why, interest rates going up, the real estate market going up, it's all irrelevant because it just shows how much money is worth. It's not like our currency is becoming more valuable. It's not like people are there's that much wealth out there. People are just, their currency is worth less and less. And everybody looks around, you're looking at your neighbor's houses going, I can't believe someone paid that price. Can't believe this, all these buyers, because they're just borrowing cheap money. And really that's the economy that we're in. So, when people call us, it's refreshing because I think they're gonna get a conversation. They're gonna learn about what money is. They're gonna learn about what we do. They're gonna talk to someone here in the U.S. They're gonna talk to someone that owns gold and silver, that believes in our products, that's been around. And the nice thing too, our reviews speak for themselves. You can go out there and check out all the reviews. We're happy to do it. But people that want to learn about what we do, we give them the opportunity. We have all the guides, free guides in the world that we can send out. But at the end of the day, if they want to have a conversation with somebody and learn about it, I think they're going to be more than pleasantly surprised.
There's no doubt about this, guys. And what a great company. Colin Plume and his associates there, family-owned business, Christian company, folks you can talk to and you can trust. And really, Colin, I think you've got the pulse of what the economy is going to do and why precious metals play such a very important part of that, giving stability. Real stability in an very unstable world. And what about the meat tax? Colin, here's one for you. The globalists want to put a meat tax on meat because they feel like that would be a way to cut down on the carbon footprint. Some of this stuff is out there a little bit too far for me to even comprehend. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if you saw this today, but the Deutsche Bank is talking about, they believe that people working from home should pay a tax.
Why?
So, because they think that it's such an advantage for that person to have the flexibility to work at home, that they should have to pay a 5% tax to work at home. And, which is it's so ironic because right now, if you work from home, you can actually write it off on your taxes.
Right.
Whatever square footage you're using, I'm in my home, whatever footage you're using, you can write off. Now that they're thinking that it should go the other way. Now that so many people are working from home, they're going to try to find a way, or they're proposing that they should tax you because, the advantage of you having the ability to work from home, which is pretty mind-blowing to me. So, yeah, it's, these types of things, it's, focusing so much on the new way of people, living and trying to find some taxation to harm people. There's nothing better. I would say the one thing that positive about this whole thing is that people spending more time at home is good for us as a country. It may not be the best thing for the economy, but it's good for the family. It's good for people that have, maybe the kids, my kids are crying in the room, it's hard. But you know what? Having the parents around more is a good thing. You know this, Pastor Paul. You talk about this all the time. Being around your family more, the more you can be around your family, the better. And yes, some aspects of work are not going to be as good and up to par as they were, but the greater goal is to be a great family person, to be there. And so the idea of these, some of these wild taxes, it's horrible. And me personally, having to force to work from home more and be around here and spend more time with my family has been one of the things that I've grown so much for it this year and so happy for. So the economy is changing. People are going to fight it. But at the end of the day, this is the world we're going. 2021 is going to be a year it's going to be such a shocking year for people. So many different types of jobs are going to become obsolete. And people today need to take some evaluation of themselves and look where things are going and really try to prepare for where the new economy is going.
Colin Plume, folks, at noblegoldinvestment.com. Pick up the phone and call them at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Or go to their website at www.noblegoldinvestments.com. And I think you're right. I mean, this is, if anything, people spending time at home and working from home is a much more productive environment and more productivity. First of all, you don't have to commute, the drive there and the drive back. Secondly, you can be available if the kids need you, if your spouse has to do something else. It's a team effort. It's more healthier, to become almost like the Amish in a way where you're home, okay? But to put a tax on people working from home is just not what it is. The liberals have never seen a tax they didn't like. Okay, and all they understand is tax and spend. How about this? Why don't they just let us live our lives and let's just cut back on a lot of excess of crazy spending and training, and let's get back to where, look, we don't need all this. We don't need bigger government. We need smaller government. And, oh, by the way, as you said, people really should learn, if this is where this new economy is going, how do you fit in it? Find your role and be successful and be an entrepreneur and get ahead of the game. I think that's important, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I see. I think 5 years from now, there's going to be some people watching this that are listening that are going to heed this advice. They're going to make those changes, and they're going to be so happy, because it's not like a lot of these jobs it's not like it's going to happen right away. They may not go down next year, but a lot of these ways of doing business are definitely going to fundamentally change. And so being ahead of that and starting to get into where things are going. I mean, you look at, just for, cryptocurrency, PayPal, I've been saying for 2 years, PayPal will announce that they're going to accept Bitcoin. It's going to happen. Maybe they just need to see it for a few more years. Maybe they need to get more comfortable with it. Maybe they need to build the infrastructure or whatever it is, but they're going to do it. They did it. Bitcoin rose from 12,000 to 15,000 because that's where it was going. They want to accept this new currency. They want to win that game. They were missing out on that money coming to them. And so they eventually moved in that direction. The writing was on the wall for that. But that was a few years coming. There was other analysts out there that were saying that they were going to do that a few years ago too, and it eventually happened. Well, what can you look at today that's going to happen in 2 to 3 years that you can be ahead of that can benefit you and your family? And that's what it comes down to. And that's what I always try to focus on when people come to us, they get education about what we do. We think that there's going to be a lot of industrial demand for gold. So, gold, you can read the news on gold and all the medical technology. They're talking about it with a lot of cancer research, and there's a lot of fundamental uses that are growing with gold. So, we believe that it's not just something that's been around for 6,000 years and not just something that's been in the Bible. These metals have industrial uses beyond just the use as a currency and people bartering with gold, globally. There's more to it, and that's why we think it's an old school, type of metal that people know, but it's really something that's going to take off in the future as we see more debt, as we see the economy change. I think people are going to be surprised. And that number of 3,000 for gold, Bank of America was the one to announce that. Yeah. One after COVID. This isn't like some far off, person in their basement that is plotting the end of the world. This is like, one, if not the biggest bank in the United States, which basically has no incentive to recommend gold because they want you to put money in their savings account. They think gold's going to hit 3,000 by end of next year. So, these are analysts coming out and just saying that the writing is on the wall for gold. So, I'm excited about it. And at the end of the day, if someone just wants to learn, they call in, they get the free guide, they talk to somebody, and they get the information that's not the right time. That's fine too. We're here to just help people get the right information. And I I think people will be shocked that our approach is much different than a lot of people out there. We give information, we follow up. If you need us to do something, we do it. But we're very sort of laid back approach to what we're offering.
Colin Plume, folks, at noblegoldinvestments.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestments.com. And again, you can call him, like he said, at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. When you said some crazy guy in the basement plotting the end of the world, I almost thought you were talking about me there for a second there, Colin. But anyway, Colin, thank you so much for for being with us. It's been a great broadcast, and we look forward to talking to you again next month.
Thank you, Pastor Paul. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Noble Gold Investments. Folks, go check it out. The website's www.noblegoldinvestments.com, and really good friends of our ministry. God bless all of you.